I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, call roll, please. Stewart.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Cronin.
Here.
Bullock.
Here.
Baylor.
Here.
Cooper. Here. White.
Here.
Everyone has the agenda in front of them tonight. Is there anything anyone would like to add, delete, or make a motion at this time?
I don't see Armada Corners on here.
Madam President,
It's not public comment yet.
I will make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Mr. Audi. Is there a second?
Support.
Support by Mr. Ballard. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I have a question. Was this when we pulled something out of consent?
No, that's different.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'll read both then. Aye.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Any citizen comment on non-agenda items? Any citizen comment? Hearing none, we will move on. We have no presentations tonight. Administrative reports.
I think Miss.
No, she's
She's
on
on
the
here.
agenda.
We're on here.
Oh.
I was looking on the back of the second page and I was like, where are we?
Okay, so we're moving on to administrative reports. Everyone has their building department report. Are there any commissioner liaison reports at this time?
May I say a couple words?
Please, for the
From-
police
from the police
department. Chief Howard?
Well, I'm sure, as everybody knows, we had a pretty successful week last week. We charged James Donald Van Callis with 2 counts of homicide and 1 count 10-year felony for assault with intent to commit sexual conduct with penetration. I've got to apologize to the board and thank the board. As we got into this very early on, there was a lot of information that was leaked to the press, and there was a lot of finger pointing going on, which the consensus of the group working on the investigation ignored. We continued to work, diligently towards what our goal was. If I saw something on the horizon that I thought may cause the board specific discomfort or curiosity, I would get a hold of Mr. Wallach and let him know, so my liaison knew what was going on. But short of that, we couldn't release very much because it seemed like every time we turned around, the press was putting something out, and it was a matter of how did yet again that get out there, and we have our theories on that, but again, it really doesn't matter. What matters is the outcome. But last Wednesday, I'm driving through town, and I see about a half a dozen women painting the rock, and putting a very large pink bow on it. And I was on my way down to get the warrants. I'm thinking, how could they have figured this out already, even before I've gone down? So I stopped and I got out. And I spoke with them, and I asked them why they were painting the rock, and they said because we felt that the investigation had hit a brick wall, and we wanted to re-energize it. And as I turned around and walked away, they said, "But do you have something to tell us?" and I said, "I can't." So we went down. And we were able to get the warrants. We swore to the warrants on Wednesday. We processed him with the arraignment on Thursday. We very early on started looking at him, but at some point in time, if that's all we concentrated on and we let that out early, the defense attorney would turn around and say, well, did you have any more tips? Did you look at anybody else? So we had over 1,000 tips, and we literally cleared the majority of those thousands of tips. However, the tips that we couldn't clear were related to James Donald Van Callis, and we can't clear those tips because that's the guy that did it. So we're comfortable, we're confident. We've done our due diligence. The powers to be, I've never worked with a group that worked positively towards an end, the way this group has. The main key players were the FBI, Michigan State Police, Macomb County Sheriff's Office. We managed to work in the command posts that we had. We managed to work toward an end, and there was no hierarchy where we couldn't get the job accomplished. And our police department, your police department, worked very well in unison with all these groups, and it's something that we should be proud of. Obviously, not everybody likes cops. Not everybody likes federal agents. So there was some rough edges. Not very many in the broad majority of the people that we interviewed, that we talked to, were more than happy to cooperate, were more than happy to participate. And that is one of the key things that I wanted to say here today. We had a lot of the different entities taking concern and pride in feeling for our community. They talked about how the community came up to them and embraced them when they were at Papa's, or when they were at the Subway, or when we were doing the canvases. Again, the overwhelming majority were very happy that these people were here participating with us. And they said so. They said what a great community we have. And I talked to the township board last Wednesday, and that's what I want to bring here today, is that our community reflected very well and was embraced by these investigators, and these investigators worked very hard to come to a conclusion that is best for this community, and the community helped do that. So I wanted to come here and thank you. I certainly want to thank the community through the people watching. One of the things that I forgot to do on Wednesday is our fire department was involved the whole time as well. They came out and they helped us with the perimeter. They helped us with searches. I feel bad for the guys that had to pump the sludge out of the swimming pool, but they have pitched in, and again, just another great sign of community. So I wanted to pass that on. I thank you all, and we're going to do well. We've got a pre-exam coming up. We've got an exam coming up in December. This probably won't be done. My guess is the trial won't start till midsummer, towards the fall of next year. But when that defense attorney feels that he's ready to go, we will be ready to go. We've got some spectacular evidence, and it should be meritorious. So thank you all, and thank the community.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Chief.
I just want to say a quick thank you to the police department. You guys are putting countless hours on working on this, and we want to say thank you so much. You know we support you and we trust you in whatever you guys do. So thank you from the community to you guys too. We appreciate it. All right, any other commissioner liaison reports at this time?
Everybody will notice in the packet we got the MML League announced the 2015 member dividends. Again, we'll be getting some money back towards our, what's it called? Our annual fee? I don't want to call it a fee, but our membership dues. So just let you know, it's not here yet, but it will be.
Thank you.
And we're hoping to have the party store open by Halloween. That's not a guarantee, but that's what we're hoping. Still hoping that, aren't we, Becky?
Yes, we are.
That would be without any alcohol, but hopefully with bread, milk, supplies.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Conan. Any other commissioner liaison reports at this time? Hearing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. Everyone has a consent agenda in front of them. Is there anything anyone would like to move, or is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, can we move the park benches down to an agenda item?
Yes, we can move that to new business, letter F. Is there anything else anyone would like to move, or is there a motion?
Madam President, I'll move the consent agenda be accepted as amended.
Motion by Mr. Ballard, is there a second?
Support.
Support by Mr. Wallach. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried. We
Madam
have no,
President, I need to abstain on
oh,
for the minutes. I was not there. Everything else is okay.
thank you, Mr. Clark. We have no old business tonight, and we're now moving into new business. The first item of new business is the water billing for the address of 23083 Main Street. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Ms. Barfel, just raise your hand and I'll call on you. Okay, Ms. Barfel?
We have 6 meters at the building, and we are being charged for 10 water bills. And according to section 21-25B of the Armada ordinances, we can be billed for 1 water bill there. There aren't any bathrooms in those other office spaces. There are not going to ever be any bathrooms in those other office spaces, and it's ridiculous for us to be charged for 10 water bills for that building. And I talked with you guys initially when we first purchased the building, and I believe Dennis came out, or did you come out, Stephen?
Well, I've been there, but I believe
Yeah, one of those guys came out and said, well, yeah, there's no bathrooms in those spaces, and I said, yes, and there's not going to be. And the only stipulation we got from you guys is, well, we'll take the sewer bill off of those bills. There are no bathrooms. And you can't charge us for bathrooms that do not exist. There is no meter. There is no reading in any of those offices. There's not going to be. Ghosts don't go potty. That's like AAA charging us for 6 Cadillacs when we only have 2. We can't do it legally.
What doesn't go potty?
Ghosts don't go potty. There's
Are you
nobody
telling me
in
you got ghosts in there?
there. But seriously, Dave, I mean, this is ridiculous being hit for water bills that do not exist.
You said you had 6 meters?
We have only 6 meters.
Dave, it's her turn to address the council. We'll discuss it after.
Okay.
Okay, we have only 6 meters. The apartments each have a meter, so there are 4 there. And then there are 2 other meters. The top one, I believe, is for the water system, for the fire hydrants, and the other one is for the building. So there are 4 meters that do not exist, that are not in the building, that there is no usage. We should not be getting charged for water bills, for 4 water bills that do not exist. So the billing needs to be corrected by the village. And I've been talking to you guys from day one about this. And there's no bathrooms in there. There's not going to be any bathrooms. It's ridiculous to be hit for water bills that don't exist.
Thank you, Ms. Barfel. Are there any other public comments? Any other public comments? Hearing none, is council deliberation time? Right, well, yes, planning commission representative, she will be.
All right.
Right,
All
right,
right.
okay,
Can I ask a question?
go on.
Sherry, you said there's no bathrooms?
There are no bathrooms in those other offices.
Where are the bathrooms?
There's a bathroom on the 2nd floor, and there's a bathroom on the 1st floor. So those were in there initially. The building, initially, you guys told me there was supposed to be a bathroom in every office, and there isn't any bathrooms in the offices. So this should be a simple fix. Because according to the ordinance, it says a block of store buildings, a terrace of building, or an apartment house may have a single meter for all. Okay? And it says depending on the arrangement of the service lines. There are no meters there. You can't build where there's no service.
Well, we did have arrangements of the service meters.
There are no meters there.
There were agreements on how that was structured by the previous owner.
That was never with us, Joe.
No, but it was with the previous owner and the village, and that is the last
The
instructions
previous,
that we had.
and the previous owner does not own the building anymore. We own
Well,
the
just
building.
because I sell my house tomorrow and it's a 2-story, because now the previous owner says it's a 1-story, is it?
Again, there's no bathrooms, there's no water
Okay,
usage.
what I'm saying is we go by the most recent instructions and prints that we have.
Well, then we need to change that because there's no
And
bathrooms.
you have been given that information numerous times, that if you want changes, you need to address it in writing to the village.
And
You have not
initially,
done that to date.
I was told that they were gonna come over and take care of it, and that's when someone was sent to the building, Joe, and went through everything.
Who told you they
Was-
would come over and take care of it? I mean, what the village doesn't
I
over
talked
take
with you
care of
guys.
things in your building.
And then I've been talking with Becky each quarter saying, I'm not paying these water bills that do not
And
exist.
Becky has given you the same instructions each time you've had that conversation with her, that if you want some changes, you will need to address
Well,
it
then
in
let's-
writing to the village.
You have that in writing,
No,
let's
we
make
don't.
this right.
No, we don't. You have not given us that request to
I
change the
have
meter
given you that
structure.
request in writing. Right here, and I
When,
sent it over to you guys.
when?
No, it's in here.
I read
Just
this, and I don't
recently,
think
I
that's a
meant.
Yeah.
request to change anything.
Up
Neither do I.
until
Yes.
this date,
Yes.
she has never not
September
done that.
30th. that's it.
Because I was told there's nothing you can do. We had our guy look at it and that's it. So I have this in writing, I want this corrected. You need to get your billing fixed. Because there's no usage from those meters. You can't bill where there is no service, where there's nobody there. And even when we get this building rented, this building was $70,000 in the hole last year. So where do you think this water bill money's gonna
Okay,
come
Ms.
from?
Barfall, that's
That's
not the
relevant.
subject.
So-
Let's keep it to the subject, okay?
Yeah, we need to get this billing corrected. There aren't gonna be bathrooms according to the ordinance. We can have one meter for the entire building.
So
It's-
if I rent one of the other suites downstairs, I will have no bathroom.
We have the common bathroom,
Where is
and
it?
it's right on the first floor.
Where?
It's right on the first floor, right in the hallway, at the end of the
It's out
hallway.
in the accessible hallway.
Absolutely.
It's not enclosed in another unit.
Nope. They're all accessible bathrooms.
Have you asked to see what drawings we have from the previous owner that was there?
I asked for drawings initially, Sherry, when we got the building, and nobody could come up with any
Did you
drawings.
send a note in writing asking for a copy of,
I got the drawings that you have.
okay,
I have the drawings that you have.
okay.
Because that's where we got our drawings from. The bank couldn't give me any drawings. It went through so many people. I even tried to get a hold of the original guy. And he said, I don't have any drawings. You know, that's it. So,
Ms. Henderson?
The very original drawings aren't what she has. She has what they ended up being built as. The very original drawings do show 5 bathrooms.
Which
is
were
where
just located, by the way, they just came
Right.
from Ed.
the
Oh, wow.
garbage just
Yeah,
found them.
serious, in a garbage bag from Ed.
Seriously.
Yeah, the
Wow.
DPW.
And it does show 5 bathrooms, which would be where the 5 times the minimum charge came from, because the assumption was there would be a bathroom, or the drawings show a bathroom in each suite and 2 bathrooms on the second floor. So that would be the 5 times the minimum charge. Obviously, it wasn't built that way, and the second set of drawings now is what Sherry has. What she originally had asked for was the electrical drawings, which we don't
Yeah,
have.
we do not have, these are building.
These were the
drawings.
building, and so she has how
I
it was
have what
built.
you have.
Hold on.
But the very original drawings do show 5 bathrooms, which we do just now, I mean, literally last week, Tuesday, I think, Mr.
Wow.
Sobatowski brought them to the office. So that's what the building, the whole agreement was based on, was the original drawings. And it never got changed when he built it different than what he had thought he was going to build it for to begin with.
Mhm.
But can I just say one
Please.
second?
Yeah.
I think what Ms. Barfield needs to understand is, this gentleman was supposed to pay, according to the ordinance, a tremendous amount of upfront money. And he came to the village, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, some of you were here, I don't remember exactly. But he said, look, I don't know who's gonna rent my building, I don't have the money, so bill me for 5 bathrooms, as you said, the minimum balance. So that, you know, I doubt that you ever met this man or knew what arrangement he
No.
made, but that's the deal he cut. Okay, so it wasn't that we were picking on you or trying to overcharge you. That was the deal that he originally cut with the village to save him money up front, because as you know, he developed this building at a time just before the real estate market dropped, and obviously lost it to the bank, if I remember correctly.
And Jeff, I understand that.
Please don't interrupt Ms. Barfall.
Go ahead.
But But I know, and I understand why you're here. I truly appreciate what you're trying to do. But I just want you to understand that it's not as if, you know, we just concocted this scheme for billing you. This was something that the prior owner said,
Arrange.
help me out. I mean, he was sitting in your chair saying, help me out, and the village attempted to help him. Unfortunately, now in your situation, as Becky indicated, that he didn't quite build it the way he told us, but he benefited financially for a long time because he was only willing to pay the minimum versus all the other fees that he would have had to pay, the tap and the meter fees, which have not been paid to the village. So we're on the short end too. You know, we're not making, this has not been a good deal for us either. If we could have said to him right then and there, no, you pay what you're supposed to pay, and we didn't, tried to make it work for him. So I just want you to understand a little bit of the history behind it. So.
Mr. Cohen?
You said you were receiving 10 separate water bills?
No.
There's 10 water bills we're being billed for.
Okay, you're getting 10, and you said you got 5 you got 5 meters?
We have 6 meters.
6 meters and 10 separate water bills.
We have 10, we're getting billed for 10 meters, we have 6 meters. They're putting the other ones all on one. And there's a minimum charge that I've gone over with Becky that I'm getting charged for those meters that don't
It's the
exist.
agreement.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, what are we gonna add to that,
Mr.
Becky?
Bailey?
Just, it's one bill contains 5 times the minimum water charge, whatever sewer usage, one dwarf charge, one billing charge. Whereas Jeff was alluding to, had we made him put all those meters in, we would have also collected 4 more times dwarf charge, all the CSO
So she's
charge.
not being charged for an additional 4 meters that she doesn't have?
She's getting 4 times the
Minimum
charge,
charge.
but it's not another meter per se that she's being charged for.
But if there were the tap-ins and there
For the
were the
usage,
meters, there
right.
would be the
Right, a
CSO
minimum
charge, there would be the
usage.
dwarf charge,
A
and the
billing
minimum
charge.
bill, so it would be more.
It would have been much more.
Yeah.
And at the time, Dave, you have to remember, those plans, he did not indicate that, you know, he didn't have ready tenants ready to move in. You know what I mean? He just had empty first floor, empty second floor, and said, this is, it's like a site plan. He came in and submitted a site plan and said, I need water service pursuant to this plan, right? And then when we told him, it was like, well, that doesn't seem fair. I don't have tenants, and I don't want to pay all that money up front. And the village said, okay, we'll cut you a deal because we realize that, you know, that's a lot of money to sink in without cash flow. He had no tenants at the time. So he said, okay, I'll pay you the arrangement that Ms. Barfield now has.
Well, what would the tap-in fees be? Because those would have to be paid in order to eliminate the monthly charge, correct? The
No,
tap-ins
she'd
would
still,
have to-
no, then she would get a bill with the CSO and the dwarf charge on it also.
If,
Tap-in just gives you an outside tap.
okay.
Am I correct on that?
Yes.
If the water
Takes
guys?
the water into your building.
So I don't know what a tap-in charges, it's like
It
18,
depends on
I don't
usage too.
remember, yeah.
Again, we didn't know, Harry, because he had no tenants ready to
Well,
move
back
in.
then, it was 5,000 water, 5,000 sewer.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
It was very high, and that was why
Yeah.
he proposed the agreement that he came up with,
Right.
was that, you know, I can't afford all of that right now, but I'll go ahead and pay the 5 charges, and as I go,
Correct.
and develop, then we'll proceed with the fees.
So we've been collecting the minimum, which is what,
Correct.
$19?
A little more than
No,
that.
like 70, 72,
It's actually
70.
51.89, I think, is the minimum water.
That's not resolved.
A minimum bill is $71.77.
72 bucks, yeah.
But you're not getting the whole minimum bill. You're only getting the 51.89 times 4 is
Per quarter.
per quarter is what her
She's
complaint
getting
is.
$200.
And again, we even
Miss
made that
Barfield,
deal
Miss
with you.
Barfield.
So it's $800 a year is what we're collecting, correct, from the minimum, roughly?
Roughly.
In exchange, if we got rid of that, there would be approximately $20,000 in tap-in fees, correct?
I wouldn't
I
even
did have
venture
to
to guess,
calculate.
we'd have
We'd
to.
have to
Calculate because the size of service.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes, I have some questions here that, either I missed it or something, but at the present time, there are how many bathrooms in this? There's 2, one on the first floor, one on the second
That's
floor,
what
is
she
that
said.
correct?
Correct.
Okay, how many apartments do you have upstairs? I
There
thought
are 4,
there's 4.
Lyle, there are
Okay.
4.
There's 4 of those, okay. And each one of those should have a separate meter, is that correct?
Yes, I have a photograph of that.
Well, no, that's okay, I just need to know that. Okay, and in the original documents, in the original plans, how many bathrooms were there supposed to be?
3 on the first floor,
Okay,
2 on the second floor,
and then the
Is-
4 condos.
and then each of the condos or apartments would have their own.
that'd be 9, total is 9.
But the building also gets
And-
water bill now.
And 1 for the fire
Fire
suppression,
suppression.
correct? And then you have what they call the house billing, or the
No.
building that's, no, you
No,
don't.
no.
No, there's
No.
10, that's 10.
There's a total of 6 bills that go
Okay,
out.
6 bills.
Right, currently. 1 for each condo, 1 for the fire suppression, and 1 that covers the first and second floor combined.
1 for floor 1
So 6 months.
and floor 2. Okay, now, in the original plans, okay, were the changes to these original plans, didn't they go back to planning for plan review? They
No,
didn't?
no, because
They're not necessarily changes, Lyle, as much as non-complete. The second floor has never, ever had anything done.
Second floor.
And then there should be no tenants in that building.
There
Well, there
are,
are no tenants on the second floor. The second
No,
floor
in the
there is no
building.
zone.
no.
Why?
No.
Yeah,
it's
he's
a
got
condo.
approval.
No.
Oh, it's a condo,
It's a
okay,
condo.
it's considered condos,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Because what I'm,
and
what
even
I'm
the
seeing
additions
here-
on the first floor were put in way after.
right, okay, because it seems to me that Ms. Barfield at the present time is getting off awfully reasonable. Because with no tap-in fees, because if I remember the formula correctly, it's a base price of one thing, and then if you go up to 1.25 inches, it's 1.25 times.
It's higher.
And if it's 2 inches, it's 2 times, 3, or 2.5 is 2.5 times, I believe it's by the side, and I don't know what their feeder size is in there. Also, that if these were changed and our inspector was not notified of those changes, all right? In other words, if each place was supposed to have a bathroom and we had agreed to 10 or 5 bathrooms plus that, then that would kind of, wouldn't that be like our, in the planning commission, if you buy a piece of property from another person that has, I guess, restrictions on it, those restrictions go with the property?
Yes.
Would it be the same?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Clark, you were roads back then when this was built, is that right? Were you street?
I can't recall, I've done a little bit of everything.
I think I was on planning when this was all happening,
Yeah.
and I think you were street.
I want to say
Water?
Lyle was the water.
Was it Lyle?
Well, you're killing
Sorry,
me.
I hate to throw that in. I think
That's
you
okay.
were. It doesn't
Because I think
Right,
Steve
yes,
was
he was.
street.
Huh,
Anyway.
yeah.
Was
Okay.
that? Well, thank you.
Wow, I remember
Jeff,
that.
or Becky,
Hmm?
isn't part of this dependent too on the type of tenants that eventually occupy the space? Because, for example, if a coffee shop or a small restaurant opened in one, or a convenience store, don't we have zoning requiring
I
that
think
those
they
have
were
a separate
zoned retail.
bathroom?
They're zoned
I-
retail.
yeah, I believe
but
But
It was
retail
separate.
couldn't,
it would have to
incorporate a
go through the
restaurant,
planning
right?
commission before they could occupy, because those buildings have never been occupied.
because they've never.
So they, each individual, especially on the first floor, the one that Ms. Barfellen did go through planning and it passed. The other two have never gone before planning because they've never been occupied.
Right.
But if one of those were to become, let's say, a restaurant or some other kind of retailer, couldn't planning require that it have its own bathroom based on?
Well, it depends on the usage and what the requirements are for those usages.
Might not be planning necessarily to be building, the building
Building
code
code
would apply
could be.
and
Mr. Lemieux, do you have anything to say on it?
Yeah, when that was first built, kind of Lyle brought it up, that it's really a speculative type system there. No, there was no clear indication of what was gonna be built, it was just a big open space.
Right.
And Sherry built her office in that area, in that, southwest corner, southeast corner, whatever. And then the 4 condos upstairs, and everything else is pretty much open. And it was like a community bathroom, not community, but a common bathroom that any of those offices could use. It'd be like an attorney's office or
Right.
some kind of professional. They could just walk to the back, use the bathroom and come back. And they didn't require anything in there. And that second floor, as you say, it's just one big open area,
Right.
possible condo, or there was no clear indication of where it was gonna go.
Okay. All right.
I would like to add, one thing you have to think forward along with what Harry said is that if at some point if you decide to change this now, as of this date, say, and in 3 years, now you have to do something like Carrie said, now we're back into tap-ins. And that could be an or a very high number. So you have to be very careful on which direction you wish to proceed. I would be, as an owner, I would be nervous and try to think through each possibility before you make a final decision. Because it could be pretty expensive if 3 years down the road, you have to add several tap-ins. I mean, that's just my opinion.
And
'Cause
Jeff, I read this, and if I understand the issue, this was given to help the owner with the cash flow. And basically, the village is collecting roughly $800 a year in these minimum fees in exchange for not having roughly $20,000 in revenue from tap-in fees to time, correct?
Right, we're only collecting what the prior owner indicated to the village would be built.
To build
His very best guess under a site plan, he said, this is what I'm going to need. So he and I can't, remember chapter and verse, Harry, because it was quite a while back, but he was very upset because he said, that's a lot of money to pay up front when I have no way to cash flow what I'm giving you for this. And so it was a speculative building. And so essentially what happened is the arrangement was made. To answer Trustee Sterrett's question, that's why the suggested action is to make sure that whatever agreement or accommodation is reached, that it must be in writing so that everybody knows going forward that, if you develop the second floor, first floor, whatever way it goes forward, we're not waiving those tap-in fees. That's really the only way we can make sure that the new tenant or new owner of that unit knows that they will eventually have to pay those fees.
Well, what about this agreement was made by the previous owner, and we tried to help him. But now this agreement right now is no longer a very good agreement for the current owner. How does the current owner, if she has no intentions of ever adding any more water service to that building, how does she get out of this agreement?
in writing, just like we told us.
This is what we're doing right now.
I mean,
is
does
the
she have to
plan.
go through the planning commission to do
Yeah.
this, or through here, so that she could possibly get out of this?
Was the agreement through council or planning?
I don't think the water arrangement ever went to council. I think that at the time that they collected the tap-in fees, again, the amounts based on his plans, he's the one who submitted the plans. I think they probably, through the course of
I don't think planning has the ability to.
No, it's not-
to
it's
charge
not a- I don't
tap-in
think it's a
fees.
planning.
So I think it was council.
I mean, Mr. Galecki would be the one, but I thought that Mr. Galecki had said at one time that anybody going into that second floor for future use would have to come to the planning commission.
Right,
Well,
right.
that's
in the
plan.
Well, that would be true.
And-
Anybody we
Not
bring
so-
will
And then
have to
based
come
on
to
that,
the-
we would then react to Dennis, they would submit plans to build out the second floor. That would trigger the analysis that Harry was referring to. What are you gonna use, what's the use, what category is it in? And at that point, that tenant or owner of the second floor unit or units would have to pay. But the only way we can guarantee that there's no misunderstanding in the future is to document this and record it, because no offense to Ms. Barfield, but I mean, she could decide to move to Florida next month and sell the building, and the next owner would say, she never told me what.
Well, just like her, when
What
she
did
bought
you-
it, she didn't know this.
We
She didn't know.
had no indication either.
No, I understand.
And we aren't gonna put a coffee shop in there. We're looking at estate tax attorneys, we're looking at CPAs.
We're getting a little off. We're trying to just keep it to this agenda item here. So is there anything else?
Jeff, can we change it from this point? If we do get a letter in writing, because to me, what we did receive was more of a rant than an official letter of what the owner would like to do. Go from this to this. If we do get a letter along those lines, can we make a change that would hold?
Again, I agree, I'd like to see the letter, but based on what Ms. Barfield's saying, and she's paying for water that reflects
We're not kidding.
a use or uses that aren't there. So I don't think the system's being necessarily shorted from the standpoint of true usage. What I am concerned about is the fact that this will not be a permanent arrangement out there. Someone will eventually occupy that second level. Someone could occupy units available on the first level. And that's when the system will be shortchanged if we don't collect our tap-ins and our meter fees and things like that. But from a usage standpoint, if I understand her argument or position correctly, is I'm paying the minimum charge, and we know it's a lot less than we should have got, but from her perspective, she's paying for water usage that doesn't reflect the actual. In other words, there aren't other bathrooms, there aren't other spigots to turn on. So that would be my concern, just to verify, because we're not allowed under the ordinance to give away free water. If you use it, you've got to pay for it. And if you're not paying, if she's not using it, then we could take a look at make a different arrangement. Again, provided that two things: one, the tap-ins aren't going away, nor are our meter fees for the future occupants. And two, I don't think we're in a position to reimburse Mrs. Barfield, because again, I know she may not have known about it, but we aren't doing anything other than what her prior owner asked us to do.
Jeff, because these are condos and have an individual address attached to them, are we required to collect a tap-in fee then to get rid of this? Are we required to collect one now because one was not collected prior?
Well, I don't know, I'd have to take a look at the issue of when the tap-ins do, Harry, but again,
Is it
based
based
on
on occupancy?
Yeah,
or-
based on what we've done, that's pretty much the deal, the first deal we cut. We said, when you intend to occupy and rent out or sell these units on the second and first floor, I think the first floor was vacant at the time also, I believe. Then we will collect from you, But he agreed as an exchange for not putting that money down at that time, Harry, he would pay the minimum charges. But it was always the village's intent, from my understanding, that we would always collect tap-ins at the time those units were developed and occupied.
Well, and, one of the issues we have is that right now the whole building is on one shut-off.
Right.
So if there's an issue with no payment or refusing to pay, then the whole building gets shut off.
Right.
And that was one of the arguments that,
If you
that
really
her
look at
attorney
how.
brought up, was that
if
we're
you-
shutting off
Right.
tenants, and that's not fair. Well,
Who have paid?
they paid,
Right.
but you did not, so that
Common
was.
common meters are very difficult for a
Well, that's why you
municipality
need
to
separate
handle.
tap-ins.
Because, Mrs. Barfield's paying, but if she sold a unit, she sold the second floor, that condominium owner, if he's on the same meter as Ms. Barfield and he or she chooses not to pay her share of the water bill, we have no remedy. We have remedies, but we don't have our best remedy, and that's to shut off, because Ms. Barfield's paying her share. The second floor person says, I don't want to pay.
Well, that's the issue we have
And,
with the condominiums right now.
And that's the situation. That's why on the fourth floor, you can see what happened. Those were going to be developed per the site plan as individual residential units, and everything went fine. We don't have a problem with those. It's these first and second levels where we didn't have ready tenants, nobody committed to them, that we said, okay, we'll keep one tap now, and when you get tenants, you'll come back to the planning commission and eventually Dennis's office.
But even in the future, if those other 5 units, no, not 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, well, no, whatever, for the first and second floor,
Right.
we've still got the issue of the condos being linked to one. So if that
Condos,
person still
third
doesn't
floor.
pay it, you're still gonna end up, we don't have a remedy to get payment, which is shut off. Because then you're turning off the 4 condos that paid their bill.
On the upper level.
Yeah,
On the top.
and that's a big issue that we have right
Are
now
those
because.
apartments or condos? On the third floor?
The condos were the third floor. The second floor and first floor still are not zoned.
I
So they're
understand.
not condos.
Ms. Barfield, what I'm asking is on the third floor, are those apartments or are those condos?
Those are apartments.
So
We
are
are
they
never selling
included,
them.
is the
Well, they
water
were set up as
included
condos.
with the rent?
Their water bills, they pay separately.
They pay their-
So if you have a renter that is not paying their water bill, they could get the water shut off for the whole building.
Correct.
No, they each have,
They have their own
they have
bill.
meters. Issue is getting into the meters.
Yeah, that's
Sherry's
a different
correct. If an apartment, one of the 4 apartments doesn't pay the bill and access is denied to the building, then the whole building gets shut off. And this was brought up
And this
like
has
over a
happened
year ago.
twice.
Or,
And
yeah,
that has happened twice.
right.
Jeff, I
Yes.
think something else we're kind of overlooking too is the bond covenant, which says that if you are on our system, you have to pay that minimum fee.
That could be too.
So, I mean, and her situation is not unique. We have snowbirds that shut their water and everything right down. They go off to Florida all winter. They still pay the minimum bill. We have vacant lots that still have taps on there and they're on the system. They still pay a minimum bill. So her situation is not that unique because the bond covenant says that if they're on that system, they will pay a minimum bill, and that's where no one gets free water.
And I'd like to do what's fair here and what makes sense, but if that is true,
That is absolutely
then other people could make a claim against the village that we're giving special treatment. Correct?
Well, I don't know, again, we have a little, obviously some research into issues like that, but I'm not sure that this is necessarily analogous to the, I think, as I understand Ms. Barfield's argument is, I don't have, the current billing doesn't reflect reality. We based it on a site plan that the prior developer gave, and as Becky said, that it clearly indicated, I am going to put in 5 bathrooms, and that's probably where the arrangement came in. Her argument is very simple. Those don't exist. I'm not using that water, and I'm paying you for the water I'm using. See what I mean? That's the difference.
But Jeff, you're saying 5 bathrooms. Like with what Harry said here, it doesn't necessarily mean bathrooms, it's water use.
I agree. No, it's why, but there,
Because you could be a
There are-
restaurant, and, you know.
So what is your recommendation as our attorney?
well, again, number one, I think we probably need to, I think we have a pretty good understanding what Mrs. Barfield, I think we need to probably, as council indicated, get it in writing, a formal request, and then we'll take a look at the village ordinance, figure out what's best going forward in terms of, to ensure that the village the bond covenants are protected, we're going to recover the tap-in fees and the meter fees at the appropriate time when this develops. And then it's really up to council whether they want to consider amending this arrangement. My biggest thing is that we honor bond commitments and we honor the water fund because we're collecting for what's owed to the village for usage. That's the key. You know, they just can't be free. It can't be free water. Now, I don't think in this situation that's happening, but that would be our primary interest in making sure that we're collecting what's due to the system.
Okay. Last comment, sir. Go ahead.
There is no pipes running to those. There's no water available. There's no bathrooms there. There's no way that they can get water in there unless you can go through 3 foot of concrete and put it in.
Okay.
So there isn't any way that the water would be, so I don't understand.
Okay,
we're
we're done. So basically, Ms. Barfield, what we're gonna ask you to do is to send in a formal letter to us stating what it is that you want done. Can you write this down for me just to make sure you got it?
And we weren't part of
I
that
want
first agreement.
a letter from you stating exactly what it is you're looking for. Get it to this office as soon as possible. Then we can start working on looking at what the prior agreement was, what the planning commission did, or what the council did. Then we have a lot more information for our next meeting to discuss it. But I do need that letter from you very quickly in order for it to get, and all of us to get our information for the next meeting, okay?
Yes, because we shouldn't be penalized for the
I understand.
tap-ins.
Just make sure you put that in your letter.
Okay,
Get it to this office ASAP to ensure that we have enough time to do the research we need to do to get it for our next meeting. If you are late in doing so, it will be held off for another meeting even after that.
and you can begin your research now. I'll get the letter
Well,
in.
I need to know what it is you're looking for first. So please get your letter in.
Email it already.
get your letter in to us ASAP so we can get the information. We can make a more informed decision at our next council meeting if we get it by Wednesday. If we don't get that letter by Wednesday, because that gives us a week and a couple days, okay? If we don't get it in by Wednesday, it's gonna be held off another 2 weeks. Is that okay with council?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yes.
You don't wanna wait
No.
for Jeff for the
No,
meeting to
I
bring
prefer
back?
to, but
Well, she has until Wednesday. Jeff
What-
can, the letter can go to Jeff and Jeff can get us something written.
But to me, once we get an official letter, then we can possibly adjust, at that point.
Right.
But prior to getting a letter, it's going based upon what the original developer built it as. Well, Madam Clerk, are you Madam Clerk, is that what I would call you? Michelle, can you make sure the minutes reflect that it's believed that in the future, if the occupant or if the owner does change it, that in the future they could have possible tap-in fees? I just want that to be very clear so that in 5 years, we don't come back here and say, whoever it might be, might be you, might not be you, doesn't say, I didn't know there would be tap-in fees, now there's maybe a $30,000 bill at that point.
Well, I think Jeff's.
I just want it to be very
No, I
clear
can-
that
I can
was
put
in the
that in.
minutes.
Right.
But the motion that if we go forward is going to be that it follows
Okay.
the title.
Okay.
So.
Everyone on council, okay? Okay, we'll move on to the next agenda item. It is scrap tire grant. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Hearing none, Street Commissioner Ballard, this is your agenda item.
Thank you,
That's
Madam
all, that's
President.
all.
Ed and I were sent an email by our current engineer, Doug Skylas, about the new scrap tire grant. And in talking with Doug tonight on this, that it can be like a 50-50 match from the village to start using this in some of their streets. And I know that they're, and possibly parking lots. I would like next year, hopefully, to have enough money that we could possibly do this parking lot out here, resurface this parking lot, and possibly some of Burke Street. If we could do from Burke, from from Center to Main, and then from Main all the way to Depot on Church Street, that would give us a pretty good jump on it. If we can get it for 50%,
And that's usually utilizing recycled or reusable.
yes, that would be using in the scrap tire market. And what, this is a development program funds is what it is. And what this is gonna do is they have to write us a letter of interest, and then we have to set a project up, okay? And we have to submit that for some costs and like that to do. And it's gonna be done in 4 days, but now, and I'm gonna turn the rest of this over to Doug, because he is well versed on this apparently. And so Doug, I'll just turn it over to you.
It's this program was started 3 years ago, so you're in the third year of it. It's an attempt by the DEQ to put some funding into using scrap tires. And as I was explaining to Lyle, the scrap tires, they're actually used to make the liquid bitumen in the asphalt, not the asphalt product that you see, but it's a liquid that's heated up, they heat it all together. And so you submit a letter of interest, which basically outlines your project, some rough costs. The DEQ will fund up to 50%, not including engineering expenses. Then the village matches with that. Then they'll evaluate these letters of interest, contact each of the communities in the next 2 months to let you know if you should proceed to the full application. And then the full application requires more detail, and then they take about 3 months to evaluate that. So you won't know until early spring roughly, if you're gonna get the money, but it's one of the few programs out there for roads. I've been saying for way too long, there's some monies for utilities, there's hardly anything for roads other than the MDOT money that you guys have been receiving. So this is an attempt to try to get some money towards roads and use some scrap tires.
Could we use it for a parking lot or is it only strictly roads?
No, I think you can use it in parking lots, but I have to confirm that.
And then if we go with this type of application, is it more expensive than a regular asphalt?
It is a little bit more. The first year it came out, it was about the same cost. Then this year we noticed that the price per ton is about maybe 10 to 15% higher than what the normal asphalt is.
Mhm.
But, you know, if they're paying 50%, you're still well ahead of the game.
I heard about 7 years ago that they were doing research on this, that it actually held up longer than asphalt. Do you know if they've done any more research on these?
I don't think they have. Initially, I think they tried to use rubber chips
Right.
in asphalt.
Yes.
So this is different. This is
This
where
is
they
different.
actually grind up the tires, pull the steel out, and then melt it down into a liquid, and then use that liquid with other asphalt emulsions to make the liquid that goes into asphalt versus asphalt itself.
Okay.
So it's a little different.
like the sports tracks.
No, it's regular asphalt, it's just held together with a different liquid bitumen product. And like I said, this is about the third year, so.
Are there batching plants in our area that have used this?
Yes, it's the liquid that they have to buy, and the hangup has been, from what we understand, the asphalt suppliers or manufacturers have to buy a minimal amount of this liquid, which is a tank, which is 1,000 gallons, I think. So if you had a small project and you were the only one, you're gonna pay a heck of a premium for that, because they gotta go out and buy this 1,000 gallons, maybe they need 300, they have to eat the grass. But I think as this project grows, there's gonna be more people doing it, so they could use that same liquid with other projects.
So are there only certain, like, construction companies that use it?
No, the actual working with it isn't much different. It's the asphalt manufacturers that have to go out and buy this other liquid and use it a little differently. There's only a few asphalt manufacturers in the state. You know, most of them are owned by a Levy Corporation, one way or another, and then there's a couple other ones out there, but they'll work with it.
What kind of success has your firm had getting these grants for other municipalities?
Well, the first year, we were the only firm to submit one for the municipality, and it was funded, so we were 100%.
I like that.
The second year, I think, again, we were the only ones that submitted, and I think they funded all of them, which was only 3. So it's growing, but it's taken a while. So far, I think as of last Monday or Tuesday, we're doing 12 applications. So it is growing, it's catching on a little bit, and like I said, it's one of the few things out there that would help pay for any asphalt work.
Would one of our parking lots be financially reasonable, or would it be that exorbitant cost that?
Well, if you did it with other things, with streets, and if you had a bigger program, then you'd make
Like
it
we did
worthwhile.
Park Street and
Can we incorporate this into our East Main Street project?
No,
Darn it.
because the asphalt has not been approved by MDOT yet.
Ah, I see.
So it's not being used on MDOT projects yet.
Now,
They
is
do it
this,
from center to the bridge.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's really
is this
bad.
transportation funds or MDEQ money? Is MDEQ just the administrator and it's road money?
No, I believe it's MDEQ money,
Okay. And we
not
don't,
not road funding.
okay.
So it's the review process, then the payment is more of a, I think it's you submit for a pay request, they give you back the money. But other than that, there's not a lot of strings on how you do your streets, they're not dictating your methods of how you do them.
Do they award the bid or does the municipality?
No, you guys do, you bid it out, you award it, it's your project, you just have to use this product in it.
And they reimburse or they pay up?
I don't know that for sure, I'll have to find
And we only
out.
have 4 days to get the application in?
No, they're due the 24th.
And would we have to pay prevailing wage on it?
No,
Because
I don't
it's
think-
state money?
I don't think it's required.
And how linear feet, however you want to measure it, what would be a project that would be viable?
Well, that
Yeah,
depends
that's
on
a
what
good
you
point.
wanna do with the street, so if you're gonna mill off some of the asphalt, put asphalt down, that money goes pretty far, but I couldn't tell you with numbers in my head how far.
Because now having to add, put together a project like that and add as much more as we can, even though we've got a 50% savings on it. It's still additional funds that are going out there.
Right.
We've still got East Main, we've got the bridge.
Yeah.
We've got
Well, that's
a lot
what
on
the
our
village
plate.
has to size up. I think there was a really low threshold for a minimum amount, which I wouldn't encourage you to do, and the maximum amount was 200 or 220,000 plus your match. So you could do fairly large projects if you wanted, but, you know,
Well,
somewhere
doing
in
the
between.
Want to, but I don't think we can.
The first step of just doing that application,
Doesn't
there's no,
commit you to
I was gonna say it
anything.
doesn't commit us and
No.
it wouldn't
Okay.
cost us
No.
anything,
Okay.
would it?
No,
How long are the applications good for? That's what I'm looking at.
1 year,
1 year.
yeah. And they re-rank them each year.
Mr. Lemieux, you had a question?
I had a question, is MDOT reviewing that product?
I don't know for sure. I think they are, but I couldn't say for sure that they are.
As of right now, it's not an MDOT approved.
Yeah, it's not. That's why we can't use it in that funding projects.
Any other questions from council? Everyone has a motion in front of them. Is there someone that'd like to make it?
Madam President, I'll resolve to allow the street administrator to pursue the scrap tire grant opportunity at cost not to exceed $1,500.
Motion by Mr. Ballard. Is there a second?
Support.
Support by Mr. Clark. Any other discussion? So roll call,
Joe,
please.
is there $1,500 in the street budget?
Well, there's $1,500 in there that hasn't been spent yet, but by the time you get around to the bigger projects, $1,500 is gonna go far.
Is this on a local street or?
Yeah, but depending on what street you pick.
Well, if you think Burke is the major street,
Burke.
isn't it?
No, no.
No?
Spencer.
Oh, Spencer is.
Spencer.
That's-
Spencer's the
okay,
major
sorry.
right now.
So would this be shared amongst the enterprise funds or would we pull it out of one?
No, I would take it out of major to start out with, and if there's any change in the street significance, then if we added a local in, we just reimburse.
Okay.
Okay, roll call, please.
Ballard,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Audi,
Yes.
Wolock,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Conan,
Yes.
Cooper.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Ballard, Mr.
Thank you.
Stylus.
Motion will be taken out of major street.
The next agenda item is conference room and police door replacement. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Hearing none, please Commissioner Wallach, this is your agenda item.
Yes, we have had such bad problems and trouble trying to close this door, as most of you know. I asked Becky to get some bids on the doors for the police department as well. And I think they're well overdue. I had another private individual also come in, but he did not submit a bill. He doesn't have insurance. He has a license, but not insurance, so that disqualifies him. So we have the original Anderson Door Company from Clinton Township, which we had installed in the clerk's office, and you all see that. And it would be a door similar to that in both departments. And the quote they have is $29.80. Then we had another one from DSI, which was $13.95. And the reply was not good, actually, to get back with Becky on their prices and some other couple little things. So I think with the recommendation, I would go with Becky also as such, take the Anderson door price of $2,980 and install the 2 doors.
Any discussion? Would you like to make the motion, Mr. Wallach?
So do.
You
From
have-
the Anderson Company,
Yeah, you have to do it at a cost not to exceed.
not to exceed $2,980, yes.
Okay, motion by Mr. Wallach. Is there a second?
Support.
Support by Mr. Ballard. Any other discussion?
Well, we see the quality of workmanship that they have here, and I think we all agree that it's good. There's one comment I'd like to make, that it needs to be painted. So we're gonna have somebody paint it, or DPW or somebody, so it's just a primer.
Right.
And so the other 2 doors will be the same.
Yep. Okay, roll call, please.
Wolock,
Yes.
Ballard,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Audi,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Conan.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Rowland.
You're welcome.
Next agenda item, tire replacement for the backhoe. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Hearing none, village clerk, this is your agenda item.
It's actually the DPW supervisor's agenda item, but, he told me that the backhoe needed 2 new rear tires. He went out and got quotes. The lowest bid was from Leslie Tire, which was $1,000 for both. He got a quote of, looks like $1,080 from Discount Tire, and Larry would have been about $1,060. So he suggested going with Leslie Tire. He's just looking for council's approval to do so.
Can we donate the old tires towards putting our parking lot?
Yeah, no, the correct.
I think that's probably where they're gonna end up.
Yeah.
Leslie.
Does this have to be taken to the tire place? Does it have to be towed there, or?
No, I think they come out here and do it.
Yeah, I think they, either that or they do it. So.
I was just wondering, because I thought Larry's, if it's $50 more, but we have to have 3 hours of DPW time to take it to Mount Clemens.
Ed's the one that priced it out.
And I'm almost positive.
When they put on their
it's
farm
site.
dismount and mount, it means they come like you.
Come on, do it.
Is that what that
Let's
means?
see.
Yeah.
Generally, that's what they do for us, so.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Everyone has a motion in front of them. Is there someone that would like to make it, please?
I'll move to resolve to allow the purchase of 2 new tires from Leslie Tire for a cost not to exceed $1,000.
Motion by Mr. Wallach. Is there a second?
Support.
Support by Mr. Clark. Any other discussion? Is there a roll call again, please?
Wolock,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Ballard,
Yes.
Conan,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Audie,
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you, Clerk Willis.
On behalf of.
Next agenda item is construction engineering for the Prospect Teets Street Bridge project. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Hearing none, Street Administrator Ballard, this is your agenda item.
Thank you, Madam President. As you know, we're doing our bridges on Teach Street and Prospect Street, and we have to solicit for bids for construction engineering. Therefore, I'll make the motion to allow the street administrator to solicit for bids for the Prospect Street Bridge project.
Prospect Teets Bridge
I'm sorry,
project.
Prospect East
Thank you.
Bridge project.
Motion by Mr. Ballard, is there a second?
Support.
Support by Mr. Clark. Any other discussion?
Are we
Go
not
ahead.
using row?
No, it has to be bid because it's that,
Okay.
bridge.
Conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Oh, this is that problem? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
I would
Oh,
also.
I don't know if this one, I don't think is a problem, is it, Doug?
No, I don't think it is.
I don't think it is.
No, because this is
This is
the
a
bridge.
different grant.
This is a
Yeah,
different
this is a
grant.
different grant, so.
Okay.
Well, they can submit their bill just like
Sure.
everyone else.
Well, it's up to the village, that's why I had explained a couple of weeks ago was, the village can decide who they want to do construction engineering. I did speak with your design firm, they're capable of doing construction, they do that normally. Certainly Rowe can do construction observation, so it's up to the village on.
So
Who
you
do you
can
want
change
to?
that from
Yeah.
street administrator to an engineering firm if you'd like.
Right, okay. I'm gonna change this. If you will allow me to resolve to allow Rowe Incorporated to solicit for bids for the Prospect Street Bridge project.
No,
Move, wrong again.
Wait, 1 second. I think you still gotta, if you're gonna use row, you still gotta get a
We're gonna get both.
quote. Yeah,
Right.
but if this work can be done by row, then you don't necessarily have to solicit. You can, but you don't necessarily have to.
What does
Because
he have
if
to
you're
do?
gonna bid this out, you're gonna have to put together
Yeah, bid
specs
package.
and, yeah.
Why don't we just get a quote from
Do you need, how much
My
information do you need, Doug?
I think we can use what we have and we're probably in pretty good shape for it.
Okay.
Who was the design, it was Giffords that did design?
No, it was
Great Lakes.
Great
Lakes
Yeah.
Engineering.
Okay.
My concern is we bid out some other projects and had problems with the bids.
Well, you're
You
gonna
know,
spend
the
money,
quality of
you're
work,
gonna spend
so-
money bidding it out.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah,
spend-
you are. You've done
So
it.
why don't we start with, like you said, first get a quote and see if
Get
it's,
a quote from Rowe.
and see if it's good,
Do we
right?
even need to make a motion on that?
Yeah, if they say maybe they need to withdraw it.
I'll-
Mr. Ballard, do you withdraw?
I withdraw my motion.
Mr. Clark, is that okay? Okay. So you will submit something to us, Doug, and we can put it in our next packet? Or-
Thank you, Doug.
Doug, just make sure you cover, you know, the insurances, the typical stuffs in your proposal, so that, you know, since we aren't doing a formal bid package, but I don't wanna neglect, you know, the insurance requirements and things like that.
Okay, thank you so much. Next agenda item, our purchase of additional park benches. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Mr. Stewart, you asked for this to be pulled.
Yeah, I thought that we should probably approve it since it's spending money versus going through consent. And, I did review the letter from Joe and I did respond that I was not in favor of it. I just wanted to be very clear about buying the additional in an email to her.
Yeah, your first email wasn't clear at all. And
Yeah,
the
but then I
second-
sent out another one that said
Another
I
one,
would vote
right.
no until we get the true cost,
Right.
where money will come from for all the costs, more details on where they will go, and reasons to buy more.
We bought 10 at $300, is that correct?
No.
What did we buy then?
When we looked at getting the additional ones, we renegotiated the whole thing, got them all for $250 each.
Okay, so we've already bought 10 at $250.
We've taken delivery of them at $250.
No,
Taken delivery of 10, yes, we
you
have.
took delivery of 10.
10, but we gave them a $3,000 deposit,
Correct.
No,
but the cost of them were $250 each.
I've used them.
They're beautiful,
They're
very
a
nice.
very nice bench, much bigger than the one we had before.
And they're actually comfortable.
The other ones were too, as far as I cared, but these are just, you know, a little bigger.
And they all match, they
They
look
look
nice.
good downtown. How many did we put downtown?
Actually,
All
we put
of
the full first order downtown, all 10.
Okay.
And the
I'm
seller
not thinking we're
delivered-
gonna get too many of these sold, they're pretty
No.
heavy.
Yeah.
But that's also a concern for being in the park. Certainly, it's not necessarily real easy for people to move them for the concerts or something like that.
No, actually, in the park, you would want them on a basis.
And I talked to a business owner today, they love them downtown, they appreciated it,
So I
so.
don't want them to love too many of them downtown, because we need some for the
We
park.
do need,
Well, I think we could use the other ones in the park.
Ed Steffer does a few more that he needs downtown to make it uniform and spaced out well downtown, so.
See, for me, it's more of a billing issue. I would like to utilize the parks money and the money generated from parks for the benches and exhaust that first, then go into our general fund. Our general fund has funded quite a few things at the park level that the park, because the park budget didn't have it. So I in turn think that the park should pay for the park benches because it is utilized for the parks and recreation of our community. We don't have a DDA anymore, so I would like to exhaust the money that we have utilized or had so far with the parks budget to pay for these benches first, then the general fund after that.
What did the general fund pay for in the parks?
Well, we paid for a lot of things in the parks, we've taken, because
Really?
parks
Pay for
is under
concerts.
general, right.
Oh, that's what you're
Parks
saying,
is
yeah.
under general,
Yeah.
so we have given parks quite a bit of money, they've never been not taking money, they've never been profitable, right?
Well,
well, the concerts are now
Concerts are
self-sustaining.
Exactly. So I think that we should, personally, I think we should utilize that money for the park benches because it is for the enjoyment of the concerts down there for the park as well. And if we needed more benches, we could considerably take some from our downtown into the parks.
The only issue I have with that is that these people that solicited for these sponsorships and this money did it with the intent to use the money for something specific.
But that wasn't the council's intention, and council wasn't made aware of that intention.
Oh, yes, you were. Yes, you were.
Yeah, I briefed back in March or April about the intent that we were going to be raising money for the park.
What's the money we use
One
for?
of the issues was
Park
they wanted
improvements.
And that would be,
Benches?
security, they
That
wanted
should be
security
improved.
cameras.
They want security cameras, they want to do general maintenance of the park, fix things, eventually get a new swing set.
Okay. But isn't park benches always been one of your number ones in the park?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the
But
money
if
should be coming out
the
of.
benches aren't being placed in a park, they shouldn't be coming out of the park budget.
Well, I understand that, that's why
But
I
it's all
said,
general fund anyway, so.
right. So that's my only concern on it. Any other discussion from council?
I agree with you, Sherry. I think it was, the ones that go in the park should be paid for by the park.
First of all, I disagree with both of you, no offense, respectfully disagree. The park has, any department in the general fund can take donations. The clerk's department can take donations, the treasurer's, if someone wants to give them money, they will accept it. Now, the park is run out of the general fund,
Exactly.
just like everything else that comes out of the general fund. Also, kinda arbitrarily, we put downtown as part of the park. So, you said, hey, you're the park guy, Harry, the parks are gonna take care of downtown. So now you've made money that was donated to the park, if you want, we did set up a separate fund and said just money coming into this separate fund can be spent for the park. So I don't kinda buy into this, well, everything's gotta be donated to do it. On the other hand, I don't know that I'm really for getting more benches, but I just think the park is part of the general fund. As you guys know, any money that comes into that general fund can be used anywhere unless somehow we accept it earmarked. But of course, if we're taking it under the park, then we should try to put those kind of improvements there. As far as putting videos and everything in, surveillance, I don't know that I'm in favor of getting into that. Because someone's always gotta take care of all this stuff.
Absolutely. And
Well, that's why she hasn't really rushed right into just grabbing something and getting, she's really been diligent about looking into what type of cameras. I think she's had conversations with the chief about cameras, because we have so much vandalism down there. Which is one of the nice things about these benches, is they are very hard to vandalize. I mean, spray paint would be probably
I
the
thought
only
it was
thing.
part of the tent down there.
so you don't think we need more benches in the park?
I'm open to hear a discussion on it.
Right.
But
Well,
I
that's
don't
what
know
I mean.
how
At this
many,
point, we don't have any down there.
I don't know,
Right.
where's the 10 at right now?
Downtown.
All 10 are
All
downtown?
on 10. The second batch of 10 is still yet to be delivered.
We bought 20?
Yep.
Now you wanna buy more than 20?
No, that's it. That was
Well, if you've already bought 20, what's the discussion?
the additional 10. Well, actually, there's really no discussion because we got all the approval already, but where they're gonna go. And I really think they would be utilized quite wisely in the park.
10 of them would be a lot down there.
Not really.
Well, when we get
Five
the
on
concert,
each side when we have the concerts. You see everybody dragging their lawn chairs downtown, the set in the park, that gives them something comfortable to sit on. And like you said, they weigh 400 pounds, and nobody's gonna walk away with one. So,
In other words, we already bought 10 at $300 each. Now they're $250 for 10.
Joe
No,
said there was
250
never
for 20.
300 each.
Huh?
yes, there was.
Yes,
When
there
we
was.
started out, we negotiated 10 of them at 300. Then we said, can we get a better price if we buy more?
Additional.
And he's, said, well, sure. So we got him down to 250 for all 20 that he had left,
What have you paid him so far?
3,000.
So we
Which
could just
is
leave
what
it
the
where it's
motion-
at then if we wanted.
The 3,000, it was what the motion was for, because we were approved
Right.
the purchase of 10 park benches up to $300 each. That's what's the motion that we made.
Right.
Mr. Clark wasn't there, he was the only absent vote. So we did approve $3,000. We didn't discuss where that money was coming from, even though I do believe that I stated that I wanted it even then to come out of the parks budget to pay for those, because I thought they were mostly going into the park.
I don't recall it was gonna be all downtown either.
Well, they
I'm
weren't.
sorry.
They weren't until the additionals came into play.
Well,
And they do look
the
nice now.
intent should be for the park then, to my estimation.
Okay.
And
that-
then
that
I
works
don't
for me.
agree, I agree with Mike not to buy any more.
Well, the 10 downtown, down the park works for me because I think that's gonna be the best use of
But
them.
we have 10 downtown right now.
10
is it?
downtown, and if we have 10 in the park, that
They-
takes care of all of them.
They do look very nice at 10 downtown. I didn't think we had that many, but I think they will get used down there. I would hate to take them out, I think.
I still think before you buy any more, you should find out where you're gonna put them in the park. To say, oh, if you put on plans and you say, I only need 3 or 4, then maybe you only need 6 in town and you put the 4 in the park.
But the point is, these have already been purchased.
Right.
These were
I don't know why they were purchased, I guess that's the
Because I got a
question.
majority approval from the board to do so.
We told her that she could go and negotiate that. That part I
For up to
remember.
$3,000.
No,
And then
this
the
is
rest came from
afterwards.
Joe's discretionary spending authority.
Right.
Okay. I personally don't consider that an emergency purchase, but. And where's the money coming from?
That's right.
If it comes from general or park, do we have the funds? Is there a budget line item for it?
Miscellaneous or capital expenditure.
There's no room in miscellaneous, because
That's
that's how
capital
we use
improvement.
stuff. Capital improvement where?
I'd have to go back through the budget, but I know we budgeted for capital improvement.
How much was
For
brought up?
what? Tell me, Harry, answer where? Because in
All right,
park,
I
you
will
have
talk
like
to Sam
2,000.
and see if she will release the funds that they've collected. I hate to do that to her because.
She hasn't given you the funds?
Yes.
They're not
She's-
fun.
She
But
can't
there was a
reserve the
waiver.
funds, she's
How
not a
much is
village
there?
trustee.
Huh?
How much is in there?
What'd she collect, Becky?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
I believe it was
30
2100.
Like 3,500?
No.
I said it
No,
at
it
the
was
last meeting.
2,300, I think, this year.
Oh, and
There's
then you
little
had
bit left.
1,000 in your,
There's a little bit left from last year.
From last year that wasn't spent.
That wasn't spent. That's what she collected then minus whatever cost of the signs.
I would definitely
I
say
stated
no.
at the last meeting that there's $1,000 left in the park budget for capital outlay, but the revenues brought in have equaled $2,300, so there's up to $3,300 available to spend. That's what I said at the last meeting.
Except you didn't take out any of the costs of what the money with the signs and stuff.
No, I didn't. Well, I did take out from what was left of capital outlay. Didn't that come out of capital outlay for the signs?
No,
What
it
was
came
that
out of-
under?
It just came out of, probably out of Parks programs, I'd have to look at the line items.
But we already paid for them, right?
We did, but where she collected 23, we might have spent 500, so realistically out of 23.
But regardless, these have already been purchased and an agreement's been made. Joe did this to inform council.
Well, there's
We
actually
took
a motion.
we took another 10.
Technically, Harry, there's a motion here that asks for additional 10. So, to allow the purchase of 10 additional benches. That is what was in the consent agenda. So you're asking me to make a motion, it was gonna go through in consent.
But you're saying right now you paid 3,000 for the first 10.
We gave it clearly a deposit of 3,000.
Which we did approve at the last meeting.
So that the,
Part of the second batch was paid for as well.
so how much would be outlay?
Yeah, they're parking once in a while.
How much would you have to pay for these next 10? Would you say that?
2,000.
Plus additional costs to put it on the cement slab too, correct?
Depending where, if Adam sit on the existing cement slab or, Ed's kind of got ideas on where that.
Well, if you just set them there, you'll still have the kids moving them around.
oh, I don't know if they can lift
I
them.
mean, these are 407
They're,
pounds.
How did they get put in
the
town? Did
backhoe,
they,
The backhoe.
the backhoe. The guys did not lift those, no.
Okay.
They're,
We need tires now.
yeah.
I just saw a few of them. Okay.
No,
Yeah, it would take 3 or 4 people to move one. They're very heavy.
Well, and
And I'm sure if
strong
there's a
people.
will, there's a way. If they really, really, really want to move them, even if you cement them down, they're gonna find a way to chip them out of the cement, even if they really want to. But this is the best that you can have, this is the way done.
Madam President, I'll resolve to allow the purchase of up to 10 additional benches at a total cost for all 20 benches not to exceed $5,000.
Motion by Mr. Beller, is there a second?
Support.
Support by Mr. Audi. Discussion. Mr. Beller, would you like to put in there where the money's gonna be coming from?
No, I won't.
Okay.
Comes from the general fund.
As long as we don't go on the streets.
General fund doesn't have a budget line item for it.
There is a general fund item called perks, in my opinion.
Well, we're spending money without a budget, right?
Right. Okay.
Once
Any
you
other
approved the
discussion?
negative budget last year, you approved the budget that was in the negative. So that's spending money that,
But our budget ended up coming in on the positive.
no, it's because you have carryover funds. But I'm just saying, we still approved a negative budget as far as what we had coming in. just to clarify that.
But at the
If
end of
so,
the year,
we
it
were
wasn't
using-
positive.
Right, but this year's, that hasn't been yet,
Right.
we projected a negative. Hopefully that'll also come in positive, which quite happens quite often. But if it doesn't, if we are right on the money, then we will use prior year funds to make the budget. Because we do have prior year funds. I just want to point out that the budget that was approved was also a negative budget.
Tell me what line item, how about I go that way?
Now, line items are my specialty.
Are there
There's
any
no
other
line.
And this was
discussion?
not, this was not intended, during the budget process, but Joe found these at an incredible fire sale deal. When we've priced out benches, inexpensive ones are $600 each, made of metal, and those weigh about 200 pounds. These are heavy-duty fraternity quality that are almost indestructible, and Joe found them at a great price, so we
Any other,
moved on the opportunity.
any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Baylor,
Yes.
Audie,
Yes.
Conan.
Yes.
Owen- Oh, shoot. I had them all marked up and I could change.
You got me
Sorry.
now.
I did. Stirrett,
No.
Wolak,
No.
Conan. Or Cooper, I'm
How
sorry.
many times I-
See?
You're a yes, so go ahead and go to lot.
Oh, yes again.
That-
No. Cooper? No.
Clark,
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
God, it's okay. We're like-
Any other upcoming agenda items anyone would like to add for the next meeting agenda? Any upcoming agenda items? Hearing none? Any other citizen comments? Citizen comments? Hearing none? Any other council comments?
I had two. Can I get two
Sure.
quick ones in? I know the chief, when he approves the four corners, usually puts on your reflective vests and all that good jazz. The ones that did it last week, I don't think they had
We
reflective vests on.
addressed that.
Okay, because when I drove into town, I'm like, why are there people standing in the road?
Howard
Okay.
addressed it, I addressed it.
Okay. And then the second one, I wanted to thank DPW. I know they do get paid overtime, I'm assuming if they were on the clock. Last Friday, there was a sewer break, probably around 3 o'clock. Ed did notify me right away. I do appreciate Ed notifying me. And he was there past 7:30, 8 o'clock fixing the sewer break. So I know they're compensated for it. I know it's part of their job, but I do appreciate their dedication and, you know, skipping dinner on a Friday night when they'd rather be somewhere else. So I just wanted to pass it on to council.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Any other council comments? Hearing none, any community events anyone would like to announce at this time? Any community events? Hearing none, we have no closed session tonight. The time is now 8:23. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Wallach, is there a second by Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
I know.
You guys are just.